Good evening, everyone. We're calling the public meeting, Human Relations Commission pre-meeting study session to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Bernard,
Present.
Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Patton,
Present.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank, present. And then, do I call the other names too? Commissioner D'Angelo Boone,
Excused.
Commissioner Barron, Commissioner Carter,
Excused.
and Commissioner Harbat.
Present.
All right. So our HRC January minutes will be approved at the regular session. If you have any questions or concerns about it, please, we'll talk about that in the regular meeting. The treasurer's report. Commissioner D'Angelo is not available, but we will have a report in the regular meeting. Old business. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the Hampton Hotel complaint information we received. We'll give you an update and then we'll talk about that. And then we'll go to our tabled items that we did for last year. Okay, so our information that we're going to be discussing tonight is the two grievances, complaints rather, that we received for individuals that had an issue with the Hampton Inn on November the 6th, 2021. In their complaint, all of you have received the copies of the complaints. In the complaint, they're saying that they actually had a reservation at the hotel. When they arrived at the hotel, they were not attended to. When they were finally attended to, the attendant individual, her name is Sarah. She did not say that she had a room available. But we did listen to the 911 call. All of you listened to the 911 call. So let's talk a little bit about that as we talk about the grievance, the complaint itself. I've spoken to both of the individuals that were involved. One is Aquila Curry. The other lady's name is Davis. And she, both of them explained to me what really transpired while they were there. I asked for the video that they have taken while they were discussing on their phone. I haven't received that yet, but we've received the one from the police department. So at this time, we're going to talk a little bit about each of the items one by one. One is the complaint. And the complaint, if we can get the secretary to read Aquila Curry's complaint. You want to read it? Put your microphone on.
From Aquila Curry, to whom it may concern. On Saturday, November 6, 2022, I reserved a double bedroom in the Hampton Inn located in Adrian, Michigan. Upon traveling from Pennsylvania to Michigan, I picked up my sister, Tiffany Davis, in Toledo, Ohio, where she, my daughter, and myself were going to share a room. Upon arriving, I walked in and the front desk representative, Sarah, was engaged in a conversation with a guest. We waited for about 2 or 3 minutes before she walked over to assist us. I advised her that I had a reservation and gave her my name. I proceeded to ask her, can I change credit cards when my pastor arrives, because he was going to pay for the room. At that time, she said, we are sold out tonight. We stood there for a few minutes and asked her what was she going to do for us since I do have a reservation. She proceeded to say that there was nothing that she could do, and that her manager had been on the phone with the corporate office all day about it, and that the housekeepers left without cleaning 14 rooms. I immediately picked up my phone and called the Hilton's 800 number while standing to the side. She continued to try to talk to my sister, and as I waited for a representative to answer the call. When the Hilton representative answered the call, I walked to the foyer area of the hotel to explain to them the situation. They tried to call the hotel to inquire on what was going on, but no one answered. I could hear the phone ringing from where I was standing. During the time, a white couple walked in and Sarah checked them in. She coached them in saying, didn't you make your reservation earlier? The couple looked confused by this remark. By this time, our pastor D'Angelo Boone arrived, and I explained to him what was going on. He walked into the hotel to my sister. Tiffany was recording what was transpiring. A few minutes later, Pastor Boone stated that Sarah called the police. So Sarah is the attendant at the hotel, called the police to have us removed from the premises. A few minutes later, 3 police vehicles showed up. The officers proceeded into the building. Meanwhile, I am still on the phone with Hilton's corporate office, stating to them what was going on. The officers asked us to leave the premises. Sarah made a scene to imply that we were threatening her and made her uncomfortable. Liberty University parents were sitting in the lobby area during this entire fiasco and not aware of anything taking place until the officers walked in. I just traveled over 400 miles to Adrian, Michigan to be told that I didn't have a room for my daughter, my sister, and myself to reside in for the evening, but I had a reservation. Please be advised that I have worked part-time in the hotel industry for the past 5 years for both Marriott and Hilton and know the protocols for when a hotel is overbooked. Sarah did not follow any of the procedures that are in place when a hotel is overbooked. 1, it is on a first come, first served basis to receive the room. Sometimes people make reservations and don't show up. So when I arrived, it was still rooms available. I should have been given a room. If the hotel is overbooked, it's the hotel's responsibility to find another room for a guest to stay because they have a reservation. This did not happen. The general manager called the next day to get my side of the story. I explained to him what had happened. And when I advised him that I work for the hotel industry, he simply said, well, you know what I'm going to say. He reiterated the 2 points I made above and said that they should have taken care of us. Unfortunately, the situation has left an uncomfortable space for me to travel to Adrian, Michigan frequently during the year. I usually do not stay in Adrian when I am there because of some of the outlandish things that I have heard. This encounter further confirms this. And she continues with her information.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments at this time? If not, we'll say Ms. Davis, Tiffany Davis, she also sent her complaint in, pretty much saying pretty much the same thing that Ms. Curry said. With her complaint, she did say she was standing present at near the lobby area where she was being looked at by the person that was attending, which her name is Sarah. She watched her make the phone call, and all of us have heard the 911 call. And in the 911 call, she states that she actually was not going to have a room for them. She told them to leave the premises, and they refused to do so. Now, why she said that, she did mention, if I was hearing correctly, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, is that she says she didn't even look at the reservation to see whether they had a reservation or not. That was Sarah, the attendant. So my question with listening to the 911 call is, why didn't she look at the reservation? And what was the protocol for the hotel if a person has pre-registered and when they arrive, they had no room for them? According to the complaint that Ms. Curry stated in her report, is that because she worked in the hotel business, she knew that they were supposed to try to accommodate in some way of getting them another place to stay. I interviewed both ladies, and in her interview with me, Ms. Curry and also Ms. Davis, they both say that nothing like that happened. Nobody tried to accommodate them. Nobody tried to say that they would maybe in an hour, they can come back, they would have a room available. But they also said that the attendant, Miss Sarah, did say to them that they had several rooms that were dirty and they wouldn't be able to clean them. So there's another question that I had is, why didn't they just say, can you come back in an hour? We will have something available. I know I've had that happen at hotels. We've been so busy, we weren't able to get it all clean. Then the other question she also stated, Ms. Davis said that because she worked for the industry, they also were supposed to make another arrangement for one of their facilities that is available at the closest area. The closest area that could accommodate them is in a Hilton hotel, was in Toledo, Ohio. She had driven from Pennsylvania, and so it was too far for her to try to go back to Ohio, which was close to an hour away. So in my mind, I'm thinking we just need to accumulate all of the information, get their video, also to get the finished report from Pastor D'Angelo Boone, who is a commissioner with our group, and see if we could get the part of the video information that we do not have. And that one spot is while she was standing there and how other people were being attended to and given keys. And what she reported to me, it was 10 to 15 people received keys after she had arrived. And if they did not have the reservation before her, she would never have known that. But she does know that she had arrived earlier. And that's another thing, that the company was supposed to accommodate them in a way that first come, first serve. If they were booked up, whoever arrives first, as long as it's within that time frame, that they should have been given a spot or bedroom or accommodations. So do you all have any questions at this point?
I have a couple things that I wrote down. I kind of wrote it in categories here. So just the general observations that you had had and similar questions, that why this was turned into a police issue when it should have just been a customer service issue. That's my main question. And I mean, I have some questions regarding the police and the way they handled it too. But when I think maybe we can focus our question specifically around the discrimination part, is why was this turned into a police criminal issue when it should have been a customer service managerial issue? Because she had called the manager, and I think
What
he
the
had said-
people that she contacted was her person in Pennsylvania who was overseeing her as a person.
Yeah, I think
So-
the hotel attendant
Yes.
had contacted her manager too. Like, why didn't he say, call Hampton Inn or Holiday Inn or something like that? Like,
Right.
why did it escalate to go ahead and call the police on these people that are not being threatening in any way, to weaponize the police against people of color? Like, I think that's where the discrimination hard.
That's
could
what
be
they
proved.
listed as the.
We can't really prove her intent or why she was acting the way she was, but we can look into why that particular step was taken in this situation.
It's good observation, especially customer service issue. And then it escalated to another issue. In the 911 call, do you all recall what the 911 attendant said to her? He asked her, were they aggressive? Were they saying something out of order? In other words, what transpired that you would call us, basically? So if we're thinking about the 911 call, it brought to my mind that not only she didn't want to deal with it, she said that I'm going to be leaving in 30 minutes and they will not leave. And the night person is going to call the police on them if they don't leave before I leave. So I don't know if she stayed over to attend to this, because this transpired in more than a half an hour of time.
Mhm.
So that would be a question. In talking and listening to the police cam, I guess that's another part of it. We can discuss that. But the customer service was a big thing. And if she attended to 10 to 12 people behind these two ladies,
Mhm.
then what caused her to make that decision not to attend to them and not to look at their reservation? They kept saying, we have a reservation, but at what point did she check to see if they had a reservation?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that was
So-
another thing that I have written down, because I kind of analyzed it the way I do. I would have to analyze a situation after something that happened at school or something like that, like just break down the facts. So in the 911 call, I have the caller was annoyed, not distressed. She made it clear that she was calling out of spite rather than necessity, because she clearly stated, like, I don't have time for this.
Right,
I'm leaving. I just
Mhm.
need them out of here. Like, she literally just said the words, I just need them out of here. Like, the police are not security guards. That's not what they're for. And she did not answer the officer or the operator when she asked, are you being threatened? Like, she
right.
didn't answer that at all. And then I also have a different section for the body cam stuff, so we can talk about that when we get down to that part. But those were the things that stood out for me for the 911 call specifically.
Okay, so any other comments about the 911 call?
I don't have a whole lot to add. A lot of it's already been said, but I definitely agree. It sounded extremely dismissive in the call, just didn't have time for this for whatever reason that was the call.
Mhm.
I would love to know if the Hampton Inn has done any corrective action on that, but that's something we don't know, obviously, but I'm kind of curious about that. Just,
I don't think
Side
they
note.
have, because I've got another individual that talked to me about their interaction. They just left. But it wasn't a reservation situation. It was just the interaction itself. And I think that's something that we need to look into and see what the Hampton Inn did do. And that would be part of our investigation. So going past the 911, well, before we go past the 911 call, in the 911 call, she also alluded to the fact that they refused to leave. And, if someone is doing something out of order, she would have mentioned that if they were disruptive, if they were speaking ill towards her, saying, the only thing I heard her say is that she's trying to do my job. Trying to do your job by asking you, can you get somebody to clean a room? It's sad to me, but she was not accommodating at all. So, okay, so let's go on to the video. The video that we saw was the officers' videos. And in the video, that means that half of the time had passed by in terms of interaction with this attendant. And when she called them and the police got there, I'm sure it took at least 10 minutes before they got there. what was happening is based on the story that Ms. Curry and Ms. David gave. And that was, one was on the phone the whole entire time. So she wasn't even near the lobby area that Ms. Davis was at, or Miss Davis was. So I'm wondering, how did the other people in the area respond to the two ladies? And one of them said to me that they were eating, they were in the lobby, they were walking in and out. Nobody paid them any attention until the police arrived. When the police arrived and the story changed, because she said, now we're embarrassed. We feel, that people are looking at us and wondering, what did we do? And I don't know if anybody has ever been in a situation similar to where the police have been called on them and you didn't do anything. But you have to face that embarrassment with other people around you. So this is our community, and this was not a good look for us. And Ms. Davis and most Ms. Curry said they don't really want to come here anymore. I think the attendant or the manager that spoke with them on the next day, he spoke to them on Sunday, is what she reported. He said he would be willing to give her a free room when she comes back. She says she doesn't want to be at their hotel, but they're the only one of this companies of the Hiltons that's in this area. They did say that no one tried to accommodate them at the hotel to try to get another space. Apostle Boone, he's the one that found this place for them, and they were allowed a room at the Super 8 Hotel. Okay, so let's talk about the video.
Well, one thing I noticed in it that I found it intriguing or alarming, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for is that it's very loud and there's a lot going on in the background. Like people are hanging out and going about. So if they were that disruptive, wouldn't everybody have been like, what? Whoa, like we gotta be quiet or we gotta leave the area. Like people weren't even leaving that lobby area at all, like at all. And look at in the video, in the body cam, you can see people coming in. And that
And
just,
walking right past.
that just clarified to me even more so that it wasn't the escalated situation that was portrayed by Sarah.
And the one thing that did not show in that video, and the spot you're talking about with the police talking to Sarah, one officer talked to her, the other officer talked to the lady. So they didn't hear what conversations were being spoken by the other. And so in my mind, when you move a person away and they can't hear what this individual is saying, you feel as though they're not telling the truth on them, or they're saying something that may not have happened. So I was concerned that one officer pulled them away from when they could have talked to them, since they walked in and there was nothing happening other than regular business. So that was another thing. And what I did hear from them is it was about 40 people in the lobby area, eating and attending and coming and going. And if they gave away 10 to 15 keys, that means groups came in because people came in with their children. Apparently that was something else going on. And from what I'm hearing, it was a sports event in the community going on. And that's why the hotel was so busy. So what else did you notice about the police interaction?
Chronological order here. So a question that I have specifically, and I don't know if maybe we could just write like a group email to chief or something just to get these questions answered, or if we wanted to ask him if he wanted to come and talk to us about it, either way. But what is the protocol when it's obvious that the police were called under false pretenses? Like, just what is, like, can they just say, yeah, this is an us issue? Or
Well, I can answer that question.
Hmm.
If they dispatch an officer to a place, it's up to the officer to make the determination whether it's a criminal offense or something else. And they actually handled that part of it. But if someone calls 911 and the dispatcher says, I'm sending an officer, they have to go.
Mhm.
Even no matter what's going on. It could be something that they would maybe say, this was a nothing at all, but you never know
Mhm.
until you arrive. So once they arrive, then they have to write something to accommodate the 911 call.
Great. So I wrote down, I think it was Officer Moll, M-O-L-L. He said, I can't enforce their business practices, and he said that several times.
Mhm.
But once it was clear there was no threat, like, where does officer discretion apply? Like, once he was clear, like, they're not, she was barely raising her voice. And D'Angelo's a calm presence. The other woman involved was just on the phone, not even in the room. Like, at what point do they decide, like, this is a non-issue?
Well, it could
I can
be.
answer this a little bit.
Yeah.
I have talked to
Mhm.
Chief Emmerich. So here's where the distinction is. So if this would have happened at like a First Friday event or something like that, that's public, or in City Hall or something like that, like a public building,
Mhm.
it's a lot different of a scenario, but a hotel, even though it seems like it's a public building, it is considered private property. And so if
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be the owner, but the person in charge of that private property asks to
fine.
have them removed, they have to follow what is said because it's a private property.
Mhm.
So like if a business in, like a restaurant downtown, like asks to have somebody removed, they have to, even if it doesn't look like they're doing anything because it's a private property. So there is a little distinction between the private and public because we did talk at length about that, just so you're clear on that.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And the most important part is the officers were asked to remove them. So they had to try to convince the people to leave, or they would have to walk them out of the door. And if they refused, they could arrest them.
And that kind of brings up my next point from that first video that I watched, Officer Mall, where he circled back around and reassured them if they come back. He said, I wrote down verbatim, if they come back, you can call us and we can trespass them from the property. If you want, that's up to you.
Right.
So it was circling. It was circling back in a way that I don't feel was necessary.
Well, I
It kind of
think,
threw a little fuel on it that didn't need to be there,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
it was very much a, we're taking your side and we're gonna get these scary people out of here for you. That's how it read to me.
well, I think he wasn't sure whether they were going to leave. And I think after you talk to one party and the other one is not present and hear the conversation, and you don't say everything in one spot, you do have to come back and say to them, this is what's going to happen. If they refuse to leave, then I will address it
But
another
at
way.
that point, the women had already moved out to at least the foyer area.
Yeah, but see, then the officers could leave the premises, but letting them know that if they don't leave, because they couldn't force them to go get in their cars. They just had to leave out of where she was.
Mhm.
And then the premises is the parking lot as well.
Yeah.
So if you don't go, then I have the option to come back and arrest you.
Right.
And she could call again. But see, the problem that she had, and this is knowledge and observation from listening to and hearing, she had no reason to call police in the beginning.
Mhm.
There was no reason. And because she had no reason, she had to push for them to be removed from the property so that she can validate herself
Mhm.
and the call that she made without. And then the manager should have done even more, reassured them of what should have been done. And we don't tolerate this. And I didn't hear that from the conversation from the ladies or the conversation by the attendant or anyone else
Mhm.
since then. And so in our investigation, these are other questions that we need to talk about and to ask the question, what have you done? And how would you handle this situation differently
Mhm.
to get a different result? And so this is what our job is going to be, is to figure out how to put it in a way. And I think a letter coming from us would be in place right now.
Mhm.
And then we let them know that we will be investigating this situation to see what we can do to make this a better place for people to come.
Mhm.
And we don't want anything hanging over any business. And one person should not determine how we view a group. However, this situation with the police being called, it does have a reflection
Mhm.
on the whole entire city. So this is one thing that I explained to both ladies is, thank you for sharing with me the information that you've given. And I can't give you any guarantees of how it would turn out, but I tell you, we will do our best to investigate. And if we need to send it further, we can. And that is Department of Civil Rights and others. So what they're looking from us to do is to make them feel better. And right now, I just spoke to them last week. They're not feeling better. And this is a couple months later.
Mhm.
And I was going to ask,
Put your mic on.
how are they doing? And did they ask for a time frame to have this resolved? What is their status?
Based on my interview with both of the ladies, they do not want to come back here, but they will be coming back because they fellowship with Pastor D'Angelo Boone and his group and organization. So they will come back into the city, but they don't feel comfortable being here for other reasons as well. It's not just the one incident. Apparently, a couple of them have had other incidents that have taken place. It did not involve the police at a hotel, but it did involve the police interaction on being stopped by the police. But that's not our issue. And that is something that we have to try to reassure them by doing something about what happened to them at the hotel, because we do know about that. And that was more recent. Now, our time frame is we have 6 months from the time that we get the grievance. We got the first grievance in November, but it wasn't the correct one. So I would say January would be our first time getting the correct grievance. And so we have 6 months to take care of this, investigate, and to turn it over to whoever we need to turn it over to. Our first recourse to turn over is to the city and let them know what we have found out, all of our information that we've gathered. And then collectively, we will know from them what we should do next. We already have options because we've already talked to the city administrator, and he has given us some options as well. The mayor has definitely been part of this, and she has helped us to come to realization of what we can and cannot do. Also, we have our article of the Human Relations Commissions, what our job responsibility is, and that is first to investigate what's going on. And that's what we're going to do. Now, we also have the option of having a subcommittee to handle that part of the process. I would like to have more than one person investigating. And at this point, one person that cannot be the investigator is Pastor Boone, Commissioner Boone, because he is also a witness. And I do have some of his statement, but I have to get a better clarity of his statement in writing. So are there any other questions that have come to your minds about it that you think we need to address in our letter to the Hampton? Or did you have any other comments about the video? Because I was really told by Ms. Davis that the female officer was rude. Now, what she meant by rude, I don't know. But sometimes just the presence, people not really hearing you or understanding what you're feeling, you're tired, and both of them were very tired from traveling so far. And sometimes we are a little more on edge, and we don't always hear what other people are saying, the way they're saying it. So, and then the officers had no idea when they walked in what they were dealing with. It really wasn't their issue. But here they had to deal with it because they had been called to do so by 911. The dispatch had sent them there, deal with it, and you have to deal with it. And when you find out it's not a big a situation as you thought it would be, and there was no criminal activity going on, you just say, it's time to go.
Yeah, I wrote that part down, that Officer Marilat actually said nothing criminal occurred
Mhm.
to the, I think it was when the attendant was talking about calling a manager again or something like that. Like Officer Marilat corrected her and said, no, nothing criminal occurred.
Right.
So,
So sometimes people are fearful. And for whatever reason, this attendant at the hotel felt she could treat her visitors like she did. I would like to know what the hotel has done about it.
mhm. I think that should be the focus of
Yeah.
the whatever letter like that. Are we coming up with a summary to give to the city and then the city writes the letter?
No,
To
we're
the-
supposed to write the letter. The mayor is right here.
Yep.
And she will proof everything that we do
Yeah.
prior to sending it out. It probably will go off from her office and not from us as a group, yes. But the mayor is right here, so we have a great resource to make sure that we're on the right page, but we will be sending it from our Human Relations Commission. And so what I would like us to do at this point is to have, we can't have more than 4 people meeting at a time
Mhm.
outside of here, but a subcommittee to investigate. And I need 2 other people besides myself.
I think I'd be willing to. I have a lot of it on my computer and kind of summarized already. And customer
Okay.
service is kind of my job, so.
I
can
need
use
one
that.
other person to be on the subcommittee.
I would be willing to try to assist.
Okay, so we have the 3 people that are going to investigate further. And so we will try to have it all completed by our next meeting. We definitely will have the letter composed before that time, because I think timeliness is very important for us to get the letter out. So if we can meet, set a time for us 3 to meet, and we can talk about that after the meeting is over. We set up a time, but the 2 other people working with me will be Commissioner Frank and Commissioner Ramos. Okay? All right. Any other questions or concerns about the grievance process and what we should be doing.
I'd like to just reiterate that the letter from the Human Relations Commission, that it does note that this kind of behavior is unacceptable, and the city does not tolerate, nor the people of the city, this kind of behavior. Because I think that's our role, is and to help those women too, that this was unacceptable behavior. This is not what we expect our, employees of the hotel to do. And the hotel needs to know that also. So I would just want that emphasized in the letter.
And we will definitely make sure that that is part of what we express to them. We also will be investigating and talking to hopefully the owner of the Hampton Inn. So we're not limited to who we can speak to unless they don't want to speak to us about it. So based on that, we will put something together, and for us to get approval, I need a motion from the commission to go forward with this investigation. And the subcommittee will investigate and bring back the report. And also, I would like a motion for us to be able to write a letter to the hotel. I need a motion for first, two motions now. The first motion is to send a letter to the hotel.
We're in a pre-meeting. Are we waiting for the regular meeting?
Mhm.
We have to wait for the regular meeting because we're in a pre-meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. That's why I was like taken aback. I
I'm
was
all
like, wait,
in.
what?
I'm all in. Okay. So think about what you're going to say. I will need a motion for the hotel letter and also the motion for the subcommittee investigation. So keep that in your mind till we get to the 7 o'clock meeting. All right? Any other comments or questions about the grievance process? Complaint that we received. I thank you, Michelle Dewey, for sending us this out so we can have it. And also Mayor for making sure we had it. I don't know if you all remember getting the complaint that Commissioner Boone gave us in November.
Mhm.
So I want you all to pull all that information up so we can have the discussion, okay? All right. Now back to our agenda. Agenda out here. So any other public comments on our discussion so far? Okay, let us go into the next thing. One of the things that we tabled last month was the agenda for the year. Putting our schedule together. I sent you quite a few things. And also we talked a little bit about it at both of our meetings last month. Thank you, Commissioner Frank and Commissioner Patton, for sending us your ideas because I've sent those out to you. I also gave you a new one that we had from 2020 from when President Italy Feliciano was president. She and the subcommittee, which I was part of, put together a calendar of events, and I sent it out to you all month by month is how we did it. And I think Commissioner Ramos was part of it because he's on the list of different events that we've done and what we would like to do. So it looks like we have less than 10 minutes to talk about it. So what comments and questions do we have?
I would just like to make a quick clarification for the record that it is chair, not president. Other than that, yes, I was a part of that. I believe so was Sister and Lindsay. But yeah,
That's correct. We were.
Did you have any other comments?
not in particular. I guess, yes, I want to do the home ownership seminar. I think I've said that like every other meeting for a while now. You're probably tired of it now. And I do have a little bit of news on that, which we'll go into a later topic. And I don't know the practicality of it by this point, but I would still like to possibly have Lisa Eddy's Seeing Whiteness performance. The sisters had her at one point, and I'm sure Sister Harvette enjoyed it as much as I did. So if that's a possibility, that would be great.
I would like to see a different perspective. We heard hers, and I had some questions about some of the data that she gave. So I would like to maybe search another person to talk about it as well. Okay, if we could. Anyone else? Okay.
I would like to see us focus on the women.
Sorry, Sister Pat, at public comment, you can go
Oh,
because you're
I
on Zoom, sorry.
Right. Okay.
I feel that I would like to hear another perspective. I'm with Andrea on that avenue. I would also like to see some community events, more like community-based, where we would go to the east side and do something outdoors, like when we did the first Fridays and have hot dogs. Maybe do something similar and the east side, or go over to the west side and do something, just dabble in that arena, just so that we can meet all groups of people. So,
And to go along with that, Lindsay, you know, I had already been thinking as well that second Fridays would be a really great, that would be great, because then people will know that Human Relations Commission exists, that we're out there, that a lot of people come to that in the summer. It's big. It's, you know, they moved it from park to park last year, but a lot of times it's in Parish Park. But I just think, you know, that like to go along with what you're saying, that would be a really great event, like to partner and be there for that. And that gives us that face to our name, and it just puts us out there. I mean, I know Commissioner Cavazos Frank and Commissioner Ramos and myself and some of others had already been there, but we weren't there as the Human Relations Commission. We were there in other capacities. So that's why I'm saying I think it would be nice to be there as the Human Relations Commission.
I agree.
Of
And-
course, and go ahead real quick. I'll say something on the second Fridays in a moment.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear.
Go ahead and finish. I'll say something about the side of second Fridays in just a moment.
We would also like something on the west side. We talked about having an east side and a west side forum where we meet with the neighbors in those communities and speak to them. We do have that opportunity on second Fridays to be part of whatever you're doing and that arena. And so we could probably move maybe over to the west side and do something as well. Okay.
So on the second Fridays thing, of course, I am the elected chairperson of the A3 coalition, so I would be the person to get a hold of. I, of course, even if the HRC did do something there, I am still there to represent A3, but I would be happy to welcome you all there. Of course, this would require getting in contact with me, and then talking to the coalition. So someone would need to come to one of the meetings and talk to them a little bit. And I'm sure we'll be pretty open to including you guys. And if you want to do something, I'm sure we'll be happy to give you something to do. There's plenty to do at those. And of course, pictures and all that. So if you want to do that, I'm personally gonna hold, of course, as the mayor alluded, it is better to do that during the warmer months when we're actually out and doing things. And of course, that is on second Fridays. The places usually parish, but as alluded to, we have moved around a little bit. And of course, would love to have Cavazos Frank there whether she's HRC or not at the time, but.
And I
Oh,
can,
yeah.
if this is something that we do want to pursue, I attend all of their meetings. So I can go and request this at the meetings because I'm not allowed to be on their, like I'm not on their board. So I could go and request it for us and I attend all their meetings. So I'd be happy to do that if that's where we want to go.
Okay, so what I will do is work on something that we could do on the west side as well. It won't be on second Fridays. We will try to do something else. And one of the things that Commissioner Patton was talking about as we were coming was ice cream social, maybe having something that we can do that would just draw people in, and we can just have an interaction like the hot dogs we did. Maybe we can get the police to do something on the west side and just bring people in and talk to them, just sitting around and having something casual rather than something so formal. People were doing a lot of talking when we had First Friday joint session with the police department, and also give a different view. I'd like the fire department to be included in whatever we do. One of the events to have them come and, just show people how to do things. I used to have them at the church during the summertime, especially, would come and talk to the children's groups and show them some things that they could take care of. And a lot of the children knew a lot of things because they learned a lot of things in school, but it was just fun. And then they gave away things, to get little gifts and things. So it's just a matter of just reaching out and touching and not having a long drawn out anything, but, and it doesn't have to necessarily be formal, but looking out for the whole community as well. Okay. So another thing is the bridging the divide. We want to do the bridging the divide again. We want to have a consistent time with the police department and the sheriff department. And we have a good chief and he is willing to do whatever we can. And so we need to talk to him. And Commissioner Frank, you've been the liaison person we've been using for the police department as well as me and the mayor. So we're the subcommittee for that. So what do you think?
I think I would like to focus on the city relationship with the police, and then we can kind of expand out. We did that big overall forum, and I think maybe building a relationship with where we have a good hold already, like Chief is already very open. And I don't know, he's a good place to start building a relationship. And then in the communications I had with him during the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, he had talked about how we're the biggest little city in our area, right? So all of the smaller communities around us kind of hold us as a model.
Higher standard.
So if they see us having these community events and having honest discussions, and I think that's kind of where we should focus these, like the police can do their own PR. That's kind of my thing. They can have their own hot dog parties and invite us, and that's awesome. But I think we should be fostering more of the conversations and pushing them to get to know the officers more, because I think that's really important.
Yes.
There was I think it was a James Baldwin quote where he says, the officer might be a very perfectly fine person, but I don't have time to figure that out right now. Like when someone gets pulled over, they don't have time to figure out, is this a good cop or a bad cop? What's this person like? So if we can kind of reach out and be that bridge that, like,
That
these
we
are
want.
your officers. These are what they're about. This is why they're officers in your community. Like, building that kind of bond is what, like, I'm really passionate about. That's why my voice gets all shaky when I talk about things, but I think that's really what I want to focus on. And I know that Chief and some of his officers were really open to that idea. I think they already had some kind of presentation or something put together about what they do. I think it's for children
Yeah.
mainly, but kind of like what they do, what's the process, how certain things work, kind of a thing, if we want to do an educational route. But I definitely want to focus on just getting to know our department as a community. And so it's not like they're up here and where the citizens are down here. They work for us. They're meant to keep us safe. So we should know who they are.
Well, especially because we have some new ones right now. We just had one retire. We've got some new ones. And when I had spoken with Chief Emmerich about that, he was so excited to tell me because he said, they're local, they're from our community. And that's a big deal when they come from our community because they already know our community. But these are things that it would be great for the people to know who they are, who the new officers are, like how, their accessibility. Oh, they're from here, like, a little bit of maybe of their background or whatever it might be. Some have backgrounds in different areas, but yeah, just to expound upon that.
That sounds good. Our time is gone. And it's so good to have the interaction that we have so that we can keep talking about it. So I would like to see a subcommittee come together for this because we can't, we need to get our calendar going. So I need two people besides myself to work on the calendar. And then we bring back something that could be finalized by at least the next meeting, okay? We have taken in quite a few ideas and we have had more, we can get more ideas and we can put something together to present at the next meeting so we can actually vote next month because this is March, we're into the third month. But I also want you to think about the pre-meetings as well, okay? So I'm going to close out the meeting at this time and I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the pre-meeting.
I motion to adjourn the pre-meeting. Commissioner Ramos.
I second Cavasso Frank.
It is properly moved in second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right. We're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll be back for our 7 o'clock. And yeah, but I forgot to have her make comment. Good evening. This is a public meeting, Human Relations Commission meeting. Our sessions are open to the public and you who are invited to attend at any time. We will have the call to order at this time and the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Can we stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Present?
Commissioner Bernard,
Present.
Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Patton,
Present.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank, present, Commissioner Boone,
Excused.
Commissioner Barron, Commissioner Carter,
Excused.
Commissioner Harvat.
Present.
Excused. All right, I'd like a vote to excuse our commissioners that were unable to be here. Even those Commissioner Harvett is on Zoom. She still would be considered absent from this meeting. A motion, please.
I move to approve. Or, sorry, I move to excuse those commissioners that are absent.
Commissioner Ramos, I'll second that.
All in favor?
I,
Or is that
Don't we
roll
need a
call?
roll
Roll
I think
call
that's a roll
vote.
call.
I'm sorry. Roll call.
All right, Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
yes,
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
Thank you. The minutes, we need an approval for the January 25th, 2022 meeting minutes. Both pre and regular, no, just the pre-meeting minutes at this time.
I move to approve the pre-meeting minutes for January 25th, 2022. Mayor Heath.
Commissioner Ramos, I second that.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
yes,
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
All right, approval of the regular minutes meeting for January 25th, 2022. Roll call, please. Motion, please.
Commissioner Ramos, I make the motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of January 25th, 2022.
Commissioner Patton, I second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard, Commissioner Ramos,
Yeah.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Commissioner Cavazos Frank.
Additions to the regular agenda.
So do I do that now or do it to the next one?
Set the agenda. So we're talking
Okay.
additions to the regular agenda. If you have something that you would like us to add,
Do,
now. Now,
okay. I motion for us to add sending a letter to the hotel onto our agenda.
I second that we send a letter.
no,
of-
this is just adding to the agenda.
I
Second,
second Commissioner Patton.
the other,
Do we need to vote on doing that?
not yet.
Okay. I
The,
meant on adding it. All right, well, then I'll move on to the next one. I would also like to motion for us to form a subcommittee to investigate the discrimination to do with the hotel, and a couple of people went to it. And yeah,
so the hotel complaint.
yes, there's the proper phrasing. To create the subcommittee to investigate the complaint. Commissioner Ramos, in case it wasn't clear.
Commissioner Patton, I second the motion.
Roll call, please. Roll call, please, for the additions to the regular agenda.
All right, roll call to approve the additions to a regular agenda. Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes,
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
All right, I have another change for the agenda after those. Not an addition, but a change. So down old business, C2B is written down as homeowner seminar. That should be home ownership seminar. And I motion for that to be
You,
fixed.
all you need to do is add for a correction. It doesn't need a motion. So that corrections is stands. So it's home ownership seminar is the correction.
Yep, now by Premier Bank, formerly First Federal.
We didn't. Okay. All right, approval of the regular meeting agenda at this time. I'd like motion for that.
I motion to approve the regular meeting agenda with the noted changes.
I second Commissioner Patton.
Roll call vote.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
All right. So we move down to old business. And we have our current HRC issues and updates. And we are going to talk about that after we do the discussion on the complaint status. So at this time, I would like to move to old business B, discussion of the complaint status. And at this time, I would be open for us to have a motion to send a letter and also the subcommittee at this time.
I motion for the HRC to send a letter to the hotel. Commissioner Ramos.
I second Commissioner Cavazos Frank.
Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion now for the subcommittee.
Commissioner Ramos, I will now motion for the formation of the subcommittee to investigate the complaint with a subcommittee made up of Commissioner Bernard, Commissioner Cavazos Frank, and Commissioner Ramos.
I second that, Mayor Heath.
Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
All right. So now we've covered that. If there's any other discussion we'd like to have on the complaint status, you all received most all of your information, so we will move it over to the subcommittee. Okay. All right, so now let's go to our yearly schedule, tabled items that we didn't do. We'd like to have a motion because we wanted to have a subcommittee formed for the opportunity to put together the rest of the information that we have for our calendar year, the rest of our calendar year. So I need a motion for that.
I move that we have a subcommittee for our yearly schedule for the HRC to consist of commissioners to be decided, I guess, because I don't think
We
we
can-
had it, did we?
Yes, we can,
We didn't have enough.
yeah, we didn't say who.
So to be decided in the future. So
I second the motion, Commissioner Ramos.
Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
I would like to make a comment with that, though, that I would like to see at least I would like to ask Lindsay Patton to serve on that if she's willing to,
Who?
Commissioner Patton. I'd like to see her in that role, but and then anybody else that wants to. As mayor, I do not want to be in that position because I feel this is your HRC and I'm here to support you. And so I will support you in whatever endeavors that committee decides. But I do think it's important that Chair Bernard and I would really just like to see Commissioner Patton take on that role. But of course, open that up to others as well. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there too. Thank you.
Well, I would like to ask Commissioner Harvett if she would be willing to work with us on that subcommittee.
Yes, I would.
So we have the two people that will work with me. Okay. All right, so.
Do you want me to amend my motion?
can you?
Okay, yes, I can. There we go. Okay. I make a motion that we have a subcommittee to look at and discuss and decide, bring to us a yearly schedule, and that will consist of Chair Bernard, Commissioner Patton, and Commissioner Harvett.
I still second the motion, Commissioner Ramos.
Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Sword Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Patton,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavazos Frank. Yes.
Okay, so our projects for ideas and things are going to go to the subcommittee. The town hall meetings will go to the subcommittee. And so the home ownership, we will have a report from Commissioner Ramos.
So, I've talked with Fran, she's the one who had put it on before and would be leading it again. Unfortunately, the last time I contacted her was right before she took a couple days off, so I'm waiting for a response. I'm expecting it within the next day or two. I kind of expected earlier today, but we were looking at the last week of March. We were looking at possibly the 29th or the Wednesday right before that. So if it still works for the commission, we would like to do that in March. I will be able to pin down the day within the next couple of days.
Is there a date in April that we could do it?
I could ask, I have not asked for anything outside of March yet, but I could do that
Okay.
if that is what the rest of the commission would like.
I would like to open it up for the opportunity to do it. If it doesn't work out for the end of March, we would have it in, if she can have a date in April.
Just one thing to keep in mind, I only know this because now I teach again, is that spring breaks are beginning. April 1st, a lot of people are already taking off, even though it technically hasn't started yet. So we just need to be careful. Like I would want to avoid March 31st because I feel like people might already be gone. That was the point of what I was saying. I try to avoid that Thursday. But if we can, maybe have it at the beginning of that week. I cannot remember if there would be a city commission meeting. I'd have to look it up, but maybe push it towards the beginning of that week, just, or the end of the week prior to that. So just put that out there.
Some of the schools are going to be out, colleges are going to be out in March, going on spring break. So if we want to see if we can do April.
There will be a city commission meeting on Monday, March 28th. So that will be out. So, and I just feel like we should avoid Thursday, the 31st, because of spring breaks coming up.
If it was in March, would be looking at like the 29th, the 30th, or 23rd. Otherwise, we can look at April.
I'm wrong. I can't add. Sorry, it's been a long day. There will not be a city commission meeting that night. It'll be the 7th and the 21st of that month. I literally looked at the wrong week when I said that.
Oh,
So the 28th would be open if we even wanted to do a Monday night as well.
I'm really glad about that because that's what my calendar said.
I can't read.
Okay, so we're going to look at the home ownership seminar being the last weekend, the last week of March or into April. Remembering we do have Easter coming in April. So we can do probably the end of the month or see what she has available and let us know. Okay? Did you have any other thing to report on the home ownership?
No, I think that covers it all. And of course, I'll be messaging you all as soon as I get a day pinned down.
Okay, if you would forward that to me as soon as you can, I would appreciate it. Okay, our planning the next pre-meeting and regular meeting speaker. We talked about having some people come during our regular meeting, and we've been getting through our businesses pretty quickly in the regular meeting.
I have a suggestion. I haven't even talked to this person to know, but I know they're pretty passionate about this. They actually brought it to our pre-meeting at the city commission level, but Commissioner Castleberry, who is on the city commission and is, her title, I don't know her exact title there at Share the Warmth, the director, executive director, I think is her title. But she is extremely concerned, along with the rest of the city commission, about the mental health resources. I know it's something we've talked about, just mental, like what is out there, who is going to take care of our community when they have mental health crisis and needs. And we are working on a city commission level of having them come. I know that they've already touched base and we've had a positive response already. I know our city minister has with ProMedica at least coming into that discussion. And they're trying to get community mental health and, but having this discussion on where we go as a city, like what can we do as a city commission to try as a legislative body to try to push to get more mental health resources here, and it's desperately needed. And she's very passionate about it. She sees it firsthand, obviously, in her position. And so that she had brought it up to us, but maybe, because by the time we have the next meeting, I would hope we've already had that discussion at the city pre-meeting, maybe having Commissioner Castleberry come and tell us her concerns and give the report from that city commission level. I know I'm on the city commission and I'm here, but it might be better to have it coming from her. And she was the one really behind the city commission really get investigating this. I have made them very aware at those pre-meetings that the Human Relations Commission has also been concerned about this and already has had some presentations and has been, looking at this as well and definitely have concerns. But maybe so that we can, hear from her perspective, but also just from her as a city commissioner. So it's not just me you're listening to. And, and then we can give her feedback. So it's not just me. I feel like I'm always that one voice for Human Relations Commission all the time. And maybe they need to hear it from somebody else that, that can hear it from us, that there is that passion and that drive and that want to change and get help for our community in any way that we can. So just a thought on a possible upcoming pre-meeting to have that discussion with her. Like I said, I haven't even talked to her, but I feel like she'd be very receptive to that.
I would just like to voice some support for that, as Castleberry has brought that up at a couple of meetings as of recent, and I'm sure it'd be worth consideration.
Well, we would decide whether we would like her to come to the pre-meeting or the regular meeting. And I guess, Mayor, if you would open it up to her and see which one is best for her.
The only reason I like the pre-meeting idea is because that we can really have that discussion. It's not about necessarily voting and it just can be a dialogue back and forth.
Okay,
And that's one, I will tell you, even from a city commission level, the pre-meetings are where the grit of the work is done. We always say that. We always say, you know, our regular meetings go pretty quick because they're just kind of like easy resolutions and we're just kind of, you know, they're not all easy, but do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But the grunt of the work are those pre-meetings. That's where those discussions, sometimes hard discussions are being done and where all of that work is being done. So I feel like that because of the dialogue and because it can be back and forth and we're not, you know, trying to vote and all of that, I just feel like the pre-meeting might be a better
venue.
a venue for that.
Okay. Well, we have no complaints about that. Anyone else having comments about whether we meet her at which meeting? The pre-meeting, I think, is a better
Yeah,
idea.
I think the pre-meeting's a better idea.
So we can just devote the entire pre-meeting to her. We will open up and then we'll just go right into it in order to get good discussion going. So you will get in contact with her, Mayor?
I'll be on this one, yes.
Okay. All right, so we will let you know. And if she's unable to come at that time, then we can move her into April. Okay? All right, any other discussion about the planning of pre-meeting or regular meeting? Is there someone else we would like to see? I know we talked about the shelter, since they didn't get a chance to speak at our town hall meeting. They were one of the groups that was not able to speak. If we would like to have them come back at the pre-meeting in April, whichever one that Commissioner Castleberry couldn't come to. Discussion?
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay. All right.
And
Anyone-
I think thinking towards the future, for future pre-meeting thoughts, is, in case you didn't know, Elizabeth Salerno has resigned from Housing Help of Lenawee. And maybe once all that gets ironed out, you know, maybe revisiting with whoever does take over or where that position falls. She's actually still there right now. She's there for maybe like another week, I think. I think next week's her, like she ends next week, but I just feel like that's a pretty crucial relationship that we have built
Mhm.
and for what we really stand for and what we are trying to do. And so we need to build that relationship with the next person or, you know, or at least make that contact and have those conversations to kind of fill that new person in on where we are.
I definitely think that's a good idea. Of course, that would have to wait a few months because from my understanding, what's going to happen is here in like a week and a half, she steps down fully. And then the interim director for a while, and then within a few months, the board should be deciding on their next director. So probably need to give them like another month or so after that, but I'm sure that I do support that. I think that would be a good idea.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want us to consider for the pre-meeting for the next couple of months?
Something that I had considered kind of when you had brought up you don't call it blight anymore. What do you call that?
Community revitalization.
Yes. If any I was wondering if anyone in that little group would have information on like renters' rights and how people can advocate for themselves in those situations that I remember in the meeting on Sunday, we actually listened to the A3 meeting, that some of the situations that people are living in is just unbearable, but and I personally have family members, friends that live in deplorable situations because they don't want to report the landlord because they are afraid they're going to get kicked out. So maybe just like having someone from that has that kind of knowledge come and talk to us and maybe brainstorm how we can come up with some kind of renters' rights forum or something like that. Just someone to come and talk to us about what the possibilities for that would be, maybe.
Yes, they do have a board for the realtors, for the individuals that are renting, the renters. So we can actually do
Is
that.
that lawyer that was on that, when we did that whole forum, did that,
Yes.
is he for renters' rights too as well? Or
Yes,
is-
he
I
fought.
feel like so.
I think so, yeah.
He
Should
might be a
put
really
that
good
down.
resource for something as well,
Yeah.
but, and another great person to maybe include within that same pre-meeting discussion might be Leslie Love. She would be in that position a little bit longer. She is our community revitalization coordinator. And she is going to be the one that's going to be trying to coordinate efforts with like with groups like a Kiwanis, like a Rotary, or like anything like that, to try to help like your fixed income person that has a blight issue that they need fixed. Maybe it's a falling porch, maybe it's a new new siding painted, being painted, whatever it might be. She's going to be the one coordinating all that. Now she's been in it for a few months. And so by the time we might do this, she'll have her feet a lot more wet by then. I just didn't want to throw her in right away because she was so new. But that might be a really great person because she's really trying to be that communication piece from the city level about what is blight, so that they're not getting, because it could be something like putting your furniture out to the curb and not, you know what I'm saying? Like leaving it out there, whatever it might be, or leaving mattresses on your porch, or, things like that could easily be fixed. But sometimes renters don't know that. And then landlords take it out on those renters too. You know what I'm saying? So she's trying to be that communication piece for that as well. So maybe it's like a dual thing where they, we bring him into here, like, what can we do to get this out there for this whole renters' rights, but also hear it from her side as well about, but here's what a homeowner can do, but this is also what a renter can, how they can, because she is the one who tracks like the code enforcement, like if somebody has a complaint or whatever it might be.
Sounds like we need to have a town hall meeting with that instead of having just them come.
Well, I
to-
think to start with, we need them. And then I think that is a great idea because we've talked even at the city level of how do we get the word out that, I mean, I can't tell you some of the things I have seen recently going into some of these places. It's heartbreaking when somebody's trying to make a wall out of ceiling tiles they've duct taped together. Literally, I saw that. I mean, it's very sad. I've seen people with almost dirt floors, but they're not, but they're close to it. It's, and some of these are homeowners, but most of these are not. They're renters. And so they're, and it's just, we're catching up on all the rental inspections, which is great. And now we're going to do this point of sale. We're asking that to be proposed where if somebody goes to sell or run a property, so let's say Commissioner Ramos has got a rental property and he's going to have a bunch of things tagged on him for blight, because he needs to fix this, and this when they come in and do the rental inspection. What was happening is, so people like that were going, oh, well, I'm just going to sell it to you, Mayor Heath, who doesn't know anything and doesn't know all these things are sitting on my property. And now I get stuck with it when I take it over and find out, oh, I had to do all of this, or this, this was not up to code or whatever it might be. So this whole point of sale inspection discussion that is happening. So if you want to attend city commission meetings, that's what's going on right now. And that's what that is going to try to stop, but it's also going to try to catch things that maybe rental inspections have it, because like somebody that is maybe, they didn't, and maybe it wasn't even a rental inspection. It was just somebody that gets a house even that finally gets that house that goes along with that home ownership. And then they find out there's a bunch of things that are in violation and now they have to fix at a very large cost. Trying to stop that. So maybe that can help, in that process. But I feel like there's so much going on right now with this that I feel like the initial discussion really does need to happen between maybe that lawyer or a different lawyer or somebody at least giving us an idea on these
Inside.
rental rights and that inside, and then also maybe that Leslie, or maybe it is somebody just like Glenn Preston or somebody from code enforcement, that can help us, or Jake's actually the one that goes out and does rental inspections. So maybe it's Jake Rundle from, doing those rental inspections, but have them together and have that discussion with us. And then look at doing that town hall, because we do need the word out. That's what we're talking about at the city level. How do we get this word out? And yeah, that's where we're at, trying to really tell people, you don't have to live in the, like, your landlord
Mhm.
can't do this to you, and
Yeah, I think letting people know that reporting
The options.
safety concerns is not going to get you evicted. I think that's probably one of the major underlying things that I've heard is, well, I don't want to lose this. This house is cheap. I can't afford anywhere else. So I don't want to get kicked out. So I'm not going to go to the city and report my electrical or the crumbling foundation or all of the other things. So I think that's really important that we can get that kind of baseline information, and then we know what questions to ask when the town hall comes, just to kind of understand where everything is. I think that's a good idea.
I think we need to consider that. So far, it sounds like we have at least up through June, town pre-meetings scheduled, if we get a hold of these individuals. So if I could get a list of the names that you're talking about and the agencies that you would like us to bring together, Mayor, then we will work on that, okay? Any other questions or concerns about pre-meetings? At this time, I think we're good for the next few months, and we can talk about it. Okay, working meeting with training. This is our last one listed here for tonight. Diversity and inclusion, relationships. We do need training, and we talked about it a couple of times in the last few meetings. What we would like to do is have someone that would do the training, not only for the HRC, but also for city employees. So we're talking about two different things. And I am already in touch with a couple of people that would be willing to come and do diversity for us. But we would like to word it a little bit differently and have them present it in a different way than we had a couple of years ago. We would like to be part of what we get from these individuals, letting them know. So whatever you would like us to do, let's talk about it and think about it and get some information to me as soon as you can. Send me an email or a text and let me know what ideas you have, so that when I talk to these individuals, that doesn't mean I'm going to secure them. I'm just going to talk to them and see what they're willing to do, and then bring their names to the next meeting so we can have a dialogue about how we want to have it presented to us. Okay. So, but we definitely need a working meeting with training. And that would include maybe a weekend, a Friday or a Saturday. Think about it, whether you want to have a 2-day session, that's what we had before, or a 1-day full 1-day session. So let's think about that, and we will have a discussion after I talk to the mayor, and also talk about, let's get speakers in here that could help us. Is that what you all are looking for in terms of diversity and inclusion? Are we? Okay. Okay. All right. So we will do that. Is there anything else we need to address at this time in around this area, relationships? Because I really want to see the city have the same training that we have, but I don't want them to have it at the same time we have it.
And I do believe from what I found out is we cannot require it, but we can encourage and hope that they will attend, but the union at least the ones that are in the union, which is the vast majority of them. It's a union thing that we cannot require. So, but I think, but I'm not going to tell you that for sure. I'm just telling you. But I do believe we will get people that will want to attend anyways, because I've heard before that they would like to have that training.
Well, one thing we could do is ask them what kind of training that they would be, would like to see happening around diversity and inclusion. Because there's so many different areas that we could address and still touch base with the things that we need to talk about in those, depend on our speakers. You know, some of them, you know, we're not trying to indict anyone, but we at the same time need to teach and to train, you know, and the only way to do that is we have teaching and training. And I know most of my jobs that I had, it was required for you to attend some kind of training. You could choose a couple of different trainings, but you had to attend some kind of training within the year.
I wonder if you could do like an anonymous like survey to see where they feel there are
The need.
the need, because I will tell you that at least one department that I work with quite often, it does have more diversity right now than I've ever seen it have since I've been here. And I'm not saying it's a lot, but at least there is diversity now. And you know, I've just wondered, I wonder how it's going. Like, I wonder, are we being inclusive? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I'm not telling you I have. I just am saying, like, you know, this would be, you know, I just kind of wonder, and maybe even if we did an anonymous survey, they could be like, well, this is where we think there's a need, because they might see that, or, you know, feel it themselves, or, you know, have seen it happen and feel like there's just a need. Maybe it's how we talk to each other. Maybe it's, I don't know. Could be a lot of different ways to go with that, but I just wonder, maybe a survey.
That would be great. Maybe we can put something together just to get their input, you know, and see who would be willing to fill out a survey. So let's think about that, and we can talk about a survey at our next meeting. And is there anything else that we'd like to discuss under old business?
Commissioner Patton had brought up to me before the meeting that we had talked about the trauma training or something like that. I think that's something that we should consider. I think we can probably consider it along with the diversity and inclusion, because that would be a mental health, and that's a marginalized community, or people that city workers, we come in contact with people of varying struggles or different life stories. And I think it's important that as a municipality, we know how to deal with people in crisis. And I know that, I think I brought it up last time, that the community mental health has a free training, like every few months they have a free, and it's like mental health first aid kind of a thing. And it's just generally how to, I call it how to human, but like how to talk to someone in crisis. You don't have to be their counselor, but just knowing how to talk to someone that's not going to escalate, like the complaint thing. There were lots of things that she could have done to realize that, oh, I'm making the situation worse. So just little things like that, like understanding.
Giving people options.
Yeah, just getting a general idea. So I think we could entertain maybe that being one of the working things that we do too.
You know, I thought about the hospital, Bixby, before they moved out. They used to have training every quarter, and they would list it in the elevator. And they would have you come and you get a gift, or the doctors would talk about issues. And if you have something that you would like to discuss, you could have them, they would just be there to, you know, sit around waiting for people to come through. I think maybe we could do something like that with the city, you know, where we could just be available and something that we did, our church is during our regular convention, we had a doctor to come in and talk to men about their health and what stresses that they have to deal with, that sometimes they don't understand the underlying causes of some diseases and cause problems. Mental stress today is even greater because we're dealing with the pandemic.
Mhm.
And some people know how to handle it, and some think they know, and they really do not know. So I'm thinking possibly if we list something that have a doctor available, you can come, a nurse, we can get people are volunteering. They said they would come no matter, just let them know that they would set it up so that they would be able to come. Instead of just saying mental health, you can tell them about their diets or tell them about medications that they're taking that they can't combine with other things. I noticed my husband, he was taking a vitamin that he shouldn't have been taking, that was causing him to have a different kind of effect in his body. And I said, well, let me eliminate these vitamins and see what happens. And it's just made a world of difference, just the vitamins. And some things, we don't always ask those questions because we don't know to ask. And people always volunteering, let me give you something, So I think maybe if we would take an approach like that, post something up, would you be interested in being a part of this and listed in their work area, wherever they're passing by, and see whether that they would do that or not. So it's just something we can even do downtown during First Fridays. We could,
Mhm.
talk to people and see what they're interested in. I seriously want to get the fire department in, at some point, seriously.
But I think even along your lines, Commissioner Kavasis Frank, about the trauma training, that I think that would even be a really good thing that we do as a community event that we offer. Like somebody comes in and does trauma training for
Mhm.
anybody in the community that wants to come. Because I know there are so many people that are like, well, I don't know what to do in that situation. And, oh, I've encountered somebody that is, that whatever the situation might be. So it's not just our police and our fire and our city hall employees, or, yeah, I've encountered it, but it's everybody and anybody. It might be somebody in your building. It might be somebody that you meet on the street. I've had people like in a store that I just feel like that could use that as
Oh, yeah.
a really great, that would be a really great town hall, type setting to offer that. Cause I think people are hungry for that. I think people realize there is a need for that.
Yeah, we've gone through a great collective trauma over the last few years. And I think that would be a really important thing and just something, yeah, to learn how to comfort someone, because I think that some things, especially maybe even some of the older generations, don't really know how to do that squishiness,
Mhm.
like the interpersonal.
They're
stuff.
fixers and they don't want to be fit. They want you to hit, they want
Yeah.
to be hurt. Yeah. But the older
Um,
generation are fixers. Yeah.
On that note, goes back to the statement, you meet people where they're at and you help them if they want to receive the help.
A lot of people do.
Mhm. And also, that's what I was conveying when I was talking about the events on either the west side or the east side, is that I've been told that some people just either don't simply have the resources to come to the city chambers or events, or maybe they don't feel comfortable in this particular environment. So why don't we take it to them? And then they will feel comfortable for whatever reason, and then we can go from there. So if you find out the information, approach us and hopefully we can deliver it.
Great idea. Okay, any other discussion on that? So we're talking about looking into the diversity and inclusion survey, possibly relationships, trauma training, and trying to make sure that we help the community as well as the employees of our city and the commissioners. So at this time, do we have any new business that we'd like to talk about? Okay, hearing none. I'm opening up to public comment.
Take it away, Sister
Commissioner
Pat.
Pat?
Or Joshua.
You can speak to us.
I get so confused when I can talk and I can't talk. Well, I
It's
think
all right.
I think this has been a very productive meeting. I think we really, as a commission, are responding to the needs, which are so critical. The needs we've mentioned here, so critical for the good of our community. And I just want to congratulate each and every one of us for all our work, and for the mayor, your tremendous support of us. To know that you're there with us is great. It just helps a lot. So yeah, I mean, I look forward to moving forward with all of this. So
All right, any other comments from the community, public?
Hi, this is
Okay,
John.
hearing none. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Josh?
I would like to second what Sister Patty had to say, that this was a very productive meeting, and I was really happy to hear everything that came out of this meeting today. So I just want to thank everyone for their efforts and let you all know that you are appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, can you tell us who you are? I see your name, but I don't know who you are.
Joshua Frank of Adrian, Michigan.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much for being a part of it. Any other public comments? If not, commissioner comments.
I just wanted to say that I really appreciated that mid-month update email. Even especially when we're having communications with City Hall itself, specifically with kind of our, the history from 2020 is a little, not rocky, but we're a little jaded now, right? So just having that communication that even if town hall is working on something and they don't have an answer for us, just even saying we don't have an answer right now is good enough for us to not be like, oh, they're blowing us off,
Right.
kind of a thing. Because I know I'm not the only one that's where my mind goes. It's like, oh, they don't care anymore. Like we're just the loud commission that makes things complicated. And we don't have to be included in every discussion, but just knowing that discussions are happening, that's great. And I saw, I'm a big quotes person, and there was another quote that I saw that was, it was something like sharing the table without sharing power is tokenism.
Mm,
And with with the people that this commission is made up of, marginalized communities, if we don't feel like we're sharing, not necessarily voting power or electoral power, if we don't feel like we're at least on the same level and worth having a discussion with, then we're just tokens in the city. We're just a commission that exists so the city can say that it exists. But just having that little bit of communication makes a world of difference. And especially with the community outside, I know there's a lot of people that think that it just exists because the city exists. I don't know, or because the city wants to say, we care about diversity. We have a human relations commission, but they don't talk to us about anything, kind of a thing. So I'd like to be able to go back to the community and be like, no, that's not how it is. The mayor cares. She's here all the time. They communicate with our chair and let us know what's going on. And this is what we know. And just being able to have that feedback and communication makes people feel more powerful. Just being willing to share information, even if that information is, I don't know.
Anyone else? Thank you for those comments. They really, it matters that we actually communicate with each other, spread that information past the doorpost and help people to understand. That's how people begin to understand, is when they can hear what you're doing and not just watch you when they can't see you. So it is important for us to continue to do that. And I am just grateful that we have had a little bit better communication since last month. And I appreciate it so much for all of you that responded to let me know that you received the information that I sent out, and also the mayor. So if you have no other comments, we'll go to announcements. Do you have any?
I'll go and make the usual announcement, of course. A3 will have its normal meetings. We'll have its second Friday on the second Friday of March, which is again the 11th, exciting. And on the 13th again, this time March, we'll have our meeting. And I definitely look forward to seeing the mayor there. And of course, I hope to see whoever is willing on second Fridays.
Just another announcement. We had a special meeting for the DDA this morning, now Main Street. And at 10 this morning, and it's because we, for part of being Main Street Select, we had to have this survey done so that they can know how to assist us from the Main Street USA, Michigan program, how to assist us, what we need, what our needs and wants, what direction we kind of need to focus on. And they got less than a 1% response for what downtown. So, because this is focused on downtown. What they also said is they just didn't really get any marginalized community responses, things like this. One thing they didn't have yet, but they're working on, is a translated in Spanish, but it's almost done. So they are going to do that so that we at least can get that out. But I did bring up today, they're going to do the state can do this. They're going to do it the QRC code. I think that's what you call them. I'm not tech, sorry. But it's the code, when you scan at a restaurant or whatever for their menu, instead of them giving you a menu, it's where you can hit and open that up. They're going to put those in various locations. I'm going to get some in my hand and bring them to the A3 Coalition meeting so we can get those out. It's going to need to be, by the time the A3 Coalition meeting happens, a very quick turnaround. But I'm letting you all know because they need them all by March 18th, so that this is for all of us. This is for our entire community. What are they wanting in their downtown? What do they think that there needs to be in the downtown? And we need to have even those under 18. So they're going to the schools, but we need, we need all age groups. We need all, cultures, everyone. We need responses from everyone in our community. Crazily enough, the majority of the responses came from a 65 to 74-year-old population. And it was all just an online thing. We didn't even put it out because we didn't realize we had to do some of these things that we found out today that we should have been doing. I'm going to be meeting with all the pastors. We're going to put it out into the church. So that was another thing we talked about today, because they say that's a good way to get it out there. But I'm just letting you know because we need you to spread it. I do not have the QRC code yet. They're working on it. I'm going to have it the next day or so. So I'm going to email it to you. Spread it. Just spread it out there. Tell people they need to go, and they need, and it's going to have the URL link too. Okay. So if they don't know how to do that thing, they can just do the URL link, but we need people to really do the survey. We need a true representation of our city. So if anybody I can plead to is definitely the Human Relations Commission to please, we really want this to be a true representation of our city and not just, a few of those that always fill it out and, live in a certain area, whatever it might be. So please spread this to your friends, your family, to those that you maybe come in contact with work or whatever it might be. But I will be sending those to you
Great.
when I get it. I just don't have it yet.
Okay. Sounds great. Any other announcements?
Sister Pat, I'm looking to you to spread it to the sisters too, to the Dominicans, okay? And when it comes, you're the one.
She can do it. Okay, I'd like to thank the mayor for attending the Black History Together We Stand meeting that we had on Sunday. Some of our commissioners, Commissioner Ramos came, and others, Commissioner Boone. He couldn't stay, but he did show up, bless his heart. And we just like to thank the mayor for the proclamation that she gave, and her presence made a difference. People were so happy, even the children were happy. That's our mayor? Yes. And somebody said, I didn't know we had a woman mayor. I said, you know what? Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong. We really need to talk more. But we'd like to thank her also. Since our last meeting, she was able to do a video for the MLK committee, and it is available now. So if you are interested, please let me know. It is talking about the people that we gave awards to, and also we had proclamations and things coming to us from the president and also from the the governor's office. So we just like to say thank you to her for always attending and always being involved in our community. We just have a great mayor, and we appreciate you so much. At this time, I have a motion open for adjournment.
Commissioner Ramos, I motion to adjourn.
Second. Here's a second.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 We do get to say aye on this one. Thank you so much for attending.